Welcome to another tutorial. In this, we will go through the entire past paper of May-June 2011, part number 11 or 1 variant 1. Before we actually start solving the paper, I hope you guys know your basic algebra of your A-levels, simply because I won't be going through every single algebraic step because it's just time consuming. Also because most of your questions in your A-levels are going to be theoretical. So knowing your basic algebra is so much more crucial. If you don't know your algebra properly, I would advise you to go and practice that first. Algebra in the sense that laws of indices, laws of exponents, your algebraic quadratic equation, those sort of algebra, and solving linear and quadratic equation, those sort of things. Secondly, I hope you guys know how the paper is structured. Your paper starts with questions which carry less mark and are slightly easier, and as you go down the paper, you face questions with more higher marks and tend to be more lengthier. This is important because most students I know, when they get stuck with the first few questions, they just get stuck. If you get stuck in the first few questions, don't worry, just move on and try to attempt questions which carry more higher mark. Thirdly, I hope you guys know your basic content, because as I go through the solve past paper, I will be giving reference to each and every concept that you need to know to solve the specific question. You can use that to revise that concept if you want. Also, because it's much more convenient that you guys know what do you need to know to solve the question rather than solving the question itself, because again, every past paper is different. Okay, so firstly, let's start solving the paper. So find the coefficient of x in the expansion of x, and then the term is given. Now, in your A-level exam, when you have a binomial expansion question, either you can write all the terms, which is going to be extremely time consuming, or you can mentally figure out which term has power x raised to 1 and then only focus on that term. That's also possible. For that, you need to have a very high level of algebraic experience to be able to do all of that mentally and figure out which term is power to 1. Or thirdly, which is the one I use, which is the one I advise to everyone, is that in your examination they only want you won't need to write more than 3 terms. 3 terms in either ascending order or 3 terms in either descending order, but 3 terms is usually enough. So let's go with that one. Whenever they don't specify ascending or descending order, we assume they want us to write in ascending order. So let's write in ascending order in the powers of x. So 7 choose 0 multiplied by x raised to 7 multiplied by 2x square raised to 0 plus 7 choose 1 multiplied by x raised to 6 x raised to 6 multiplied by 2x square raised to 1 plus 7 choose 2 multiplied by x raised to 5 multiplied by 2x square, and then we have 2 over here. Now you can write other terms, you can keep on going writing all the way to the last term, but it's just not necessary. From this point, we need to look at which term will qualify to give us a power of x raised to 1. If you look at the first term, x raised to 7, and this is 1 over here, so this is x raised to 7 if we simplify, not the one we are looking for. The second term, you have x raised to 5 and you have x raised to 2. X raised to 6 or x raised to 6 divided by x raised to 2 gives us x raised to 4. Again, not the term that we are looking for. The third term, however, x 5 multiplied by 2 raised to 2 divided by x square, x square 2. Okay, this should simplify and give us x raised to 5 divided by x raised to 4, which does give us x only on the numerator. And this is the term that we are looking for because it gives us a power of x raised to 1. Now instead of simplifying the entire thing, let's just focus on the third term. Now you can do this from step number 1 as well, but you need to have a high mental grasp of the concept to be able to figure out that this term is the one that I'm looking for. Most students don't really have that. So the safest way to do is to write the first 3 terms, ascending or descending order depending upon the question, and think about it mentally, which of the term will simplify to give us the coefficient that we want or give us the power that we want. So 7 raised to 2. 7 choose 2, you'll just put that in your calculator, multiplied by 2 raised to 2 power x raised to 1, and that's it. That's your answer. And if you do that in your calculator, you will get x 84. 84x, and therefore 84 is our coefficient. Again, a simple question. You can do it much more faster if you have if you know what I'm doing, and if you can practice over and over again. This question took me almost 4 minutes to solve, given that I was making a video. So if you can, if you're able to do it mentally, and if you have practiced enough, you can solve within 3 minutes, I'm sure. Second question: the volume of a spherical balloon is increasing at a constant rate of 15 meter per 15 centimeter cube per second. Find the rate of increase of radius when radius is okay. This is a differential equation question. Whenever you get a differential equation question, the first thing to do, and this is crucial, is to write down what do they want you to find, because you can get confused easily. In this question, they want us to find the rate of increase in the radius. So they want us to find dr by dt, the rate of increase of radius. Now, when you do that, the second thing you need to do is write down all the differentials which you already have in the question. In the question, we have one differential which is dv by dr, rate of change of volume per radius, which is basically the derivative of the derivative of 4 by 3 pi r cube. If I take the derivative of 4 by 3 pi r cube, that should give me 3 goes over here, that would be 3 multiplied by 4 by 3 pi r2. So the derivative of volume by radius is basically 4 pi r square. And that's the derivative that we have in the question. Second derivative that we also have in the question is your volume. We also have dv by dt, the rate of volume by time, which is given in the question to be 50 centimeter cube. So you have your three differentials. Okay. Now this is a simple trick which I want you guys to follow. Write the derivative that you want to find out is equal to have two fractions being multiplied with each other. Write your dr on the first one and your dt on the second one. Dr means whatever is on the numerator of your question and whatever is the denominator of your left hand side, and then fill this other spaces with the derivative that you don't have in the equation already. If I look at this equation, I don't have one derivative. I don't have dv. So I will insert dv over here, I'll insert dv over here. Now you can have a much lengthier method to find out the equation, but this is a very simple, straightforward method that if you guys follow, it will be very straightforward. All I have to do right now is plug in my values and solve the question. So dr by dt is equal to, I know that dr by dv is, dr by dv, where is dr by dv? Yes, dr by dv is 1 by 4 pi r square multiplied by dv by dt, which is 50. Now I know from the question that I want to find the volume, the rate of change when the radius is 10. So I want to find the rate of change when this radius is basically 10. So I'll just substitute it with the power with 10 multiplied by 50, and that's it. You plug in the values into your calculator and you should get the answer to be 1 by 8 pi, or you should get the answer to be 0 point something, and again that's it. That's your answer right there. Again, you can see how methodological and straightforward my technique is. Students can get confused with differential questions extremely easily, so make sure that your technique is sound, the way you're solving is correct and it's easy to follow, so that the examiner understands what you're trying to do. Students start writing lots of things which again you don't need to, firstly, and secondly, why do you want to make it hard for the examiner? Okay, question number 3. Sketch the curve y is equal to x minus 2 square. Okay, so you can see the questions for 1 mark, so they expect you to draw a rough diagram. So let's draw a simple rough diagram. Of course, the power of the variable in this case is square, so we can assume it's a quadratic curve, hyperbolic curve, and we know that it's in a continuous square format. So if we can solve the inside part, which is x minus 2 is equal to 0, we can find our stationary point, which in this case would be x is equal to 2. So at x equal to 2, we have our stationary point. So our curve would look something like this. Again, it's a 1 mark question, so you don't really need to put that many details, and that's it. That's the answer right there. Part 2. The region enclosed by the curve x-axis and the y-axis. Okay, so you want to find the volume of this equation when we rotate it along the axis. So if I can just take this yellow part which looks like a shoe, and if I rotate this 360 on all sides, what volume would I get? And that's it. That's your question right there. So integration of pi r. So you know that when you're finding volume of integration, when you're finding volume of a integral, the r will be your right hand side, will be your x value. So in this case our r is x minus 2 square pi r square. Again, pi r square. R is our right hand side and pi is pi and square by dx. The second thing you guys need to know is the limit. What limits do you have? A very straightforward method. All you have to do is figure out. So the question says to find the volume relative to the x-axis and the y-axis. I want you to, guys to think about it mentally. When the curve is at your x-axis, sorry, when the curve is crossing a y-axis, the value for x is always 0. So it will be 0 by 2 or 2 by 0 and 0 by 2. It's the same thing. You should get the same answer either way. Okay, so those are our limits. How did I find the limits? One of the limits we already know from the stationary point, which is 2. One of the limits we already know. Limits means in this question, limit would be what points do the curve cross the x and y axis, and there are only 2 points of x. One is at 2, which is a stationary point. The other point is when the curve crosses the y-axis, and at y-axis the value for x is always 0. So that's our derivative right there, so integral right there. Let's try to solve that. So 2, 0, we can factor pi out. 2 multiplied by 2 is 4. So x minus 2 raised to 4 dx. We have to use the chain rule over here. So if you know the chain rule, please go and revise your chain rule. That would be pi 2 by 0, 0 over here. 4 goes, again, simple technique for chain rule. Integration of the outside multiplied by the divided by the derivative of the inside. Integration of the outside would be 1 by 4 x minus 2. Let me scroll that over there. X minus 2 raised to 5. X minus raised to 5. Am I doing that correctly? No, sorry. 1 by 5. See, again, everyone could get confused, so it's better to revise your basics. So again, integration of the outside divided by the derivative of the inside. Derivative of the inside would, in this scenario, will simply be 1. So again, you can just have 1 over there, and that's it. Now we'll just plug the values into a calculator and get our answer. Now you can get 2 answers. Either you can get positive 32 pi by 5, or you can also get negative 32 by 5 by pi. Both of them depend on the way you have arranged your limits. But the thing that you guys have to keep in mind is that distance is always, or the volume is always, area and volume, both of them are always positive. They are scalar quantities. There is no such thing as negative 50 centimeter cube of water. The volume is always positive and area is always positive. So even if you do an integration or volume question relative to integration, regardless of how you arrange your limits, whether you get a positive answer or a negative answer, volume is always positive. It's a scalar quantity, so you'll always write the answer in absolute value. So the answer to this question is 32 pi by 5. Now I can do the entire algebra over here, but I'm not going to do that because it's simply going to take a lot of time. So I hope you guys know your basic algebra to be able to solve from this point onwards. Let's move on to the next question. Okay, question number 4. The diagram shows, okay, so you have a prism, and let me quickly erase the volume of a prism. Okay, you have entire prism, and the first question is, you can pause and read the question. Okay, express each of vector CP and secant in terms of, okay, so we have to find the vector CP. So whenever you have a vector equation, it's first better to write it down in English so that you know what you're doing. We need to go from C to P. We need to go from where C is over, C to P. To go from C to P, first we need to go from C to D. Then we need to go from D to A. Then we can finally go from A to P, plus A to P. Now this is one route you can have. You can also have C to D, and then you can also have C to R, and then R to S, and then R to P, S to P. You can have multiple routes to C to P. This is the easiest one I figured out, so let's go with that one. So we know that the vector from C to D, is minus 2k. Minus 2k, why is it minus 2k? Because A to B is 5k, and which is because A to B is 5 centimeter, whereas C to D is 2 centimeter, so it will be 2k. And because that we are going against the direction of k is upward. So if we go downward, our value for k will be negative. This is the reason we have negative 2k. Then we need to go from d to a. D to a is negative 6i. Why is it negative? Because we are going against the direction of I. I vector is in the right hand side, but if we go to the left hand side, it will be negative I. And we know that a to d is 6 centimeters, so therefore it will be negative 6i plus 6j. Why is it plus 6j? Because we are going we are going in the direction of j. J is in the upward direction. So if we go upward direction, it will be positive. And if all we do from this point is simplify our equation, and if I do that, I'll get minus 6i plus 6j and minus 2k, and that's your answer right there for C to P. Then we have the other vector C to Q. The same logic over here. You can have multiple routes. You can definitely have multiple routes, but I'm usually going with the easiest one, so that is easier for everyone to follow along. To go from C to Q, we need to go first from C to D, then we need to go from D to S, then we need to go from S to P, then you have to go from P to Q. This is one route. You can have multiple routes. You can have different route to the same thing. You can feel free to pause the video and try to understand what's going on. I know vector questions can be tricky, so feel free to pause and rewind and see what I'm actually trying to do. C to D is minus 2k as it was in the first part, and D to S is plus 6j because we are going for the direction of j vector, and S to P is negative 6j because we are going against the direction of j. Sorry, not j, or it's my bad. It's supposed to be I. It's supposed to be negative 6i because S is over here and P is over here. So you're going against the direction of I. So it will be minus 6i plus 5k because P to Q and A to B are parallel and they are the same height. So it will be plus 5k. All you do from this point on is simplify our equation. That should give us minus 6i. 2 and 5 will cancel out and you'll have 3k. And you'll have plus 6j, and that's your vector CQ. The next question is a pretty mundane and a question which you always get in your examination. Use the scalar product and calculate the angle PCQ. I hope you guys are aware of the formula. Let me erase this quickly. Okay, I hope you guys are aware of the formula that theta is equal to cos inverse of the dot product, which is a to b, divided by the modulus of a multiplied by the modulus of b. Modulus of b means the length of b. All you have to do is apply that formula over here. We have all the values. Should be straightforward question. We have to find the dot product of CP and CQ, which you can do it as a simple method, and we have to find the modulus of CP, and we have to multiply it by the modulus of CQ. Plug all the values into your calculator and you will get the answer. It's a very straightforward question, a formula to apply. I hope you don't find this question easy. I could go through the entire algebra in the process, but I don't want to, because I don't want this video to be extremely lengthy, that to a point where no one really wants to watch anymore. So I'm gonna keep it brief and summarize all the methods that you need to know, and assume that you guys have the algebra good enough to be able to figure it out. If you don't and if you can't, then feel free to comment in the section below so that I can help you out. Question number 5. Okay, show that the equation. Okay, so we have the equation 2 tan square theta sine square theta is equal to 1. We need to write it in the form 2 sine 4 theta plus 2 plus sine squared theta minus 1 is equal to 0. You will notice in the form that we need to convert, you only have sine. That means we need to convert this entire thing into sine. So let's do that. So 2 tan, I know that tan is equal to sine by cos, and tan square therefore is going to be sine square by cos square. So 2 multiplied by sine square theta by cos square theta multiplied by sine square theta is going to be 1. 2 sine square theta multiplied by sine square theta divided by cos square theta is going to be 1. 2 sine square multiplied by 2 sine square is going to give me 2 sine 4 is equal to 1 multiplied by cos square theta. What I'm doing over here is I'm shifting my cos square to the right hand side. So we are dividing over here, on the other side we will multiply. And 2 sine 4 theta, let me scroll that over here, 2 sine 4 theta is equal to 1 minus sine square theta. I'm using the property or the identity sine square plus cos square is equal to 1. Therefore, sine square is going to be 1 minus cos square, which is over here. Okay. Sorry, cos square is going to be equal to, sorry, my bad, 1 minus sine square, which is right over here. So all I have to do from this point is simplify. Sine 4 theta is equal to 1 minus sine square theta. If I move all the value to the left hand side, 2 sine 4 plus sine square minus 1 is equal to 0. Exactly what the question wants us to do. So we have done that over here. Part 2, hence solve the equation. So we have to solve the equation for the values theta to 360. Now whenever you have questions like these, always keep in mind what they want you the angle to be in, either in radians or in degrees. If it's in radians, make sure you calculate is in radians, and if it's degree, make sure you calculate is in degrees. So we have to solve this equation. We have a quadratic equation over here. I can convert it into a quadratic equation. If I say let sine theta is equal to y, therefore this will be 2y square, sorry, let sine square theta be equal to y, therefore this will be 2y square plus y minus 1 is equal to 0. All I'm doing is I'm substituting the value for sine square to be y, and then I'm plugging back in, so that it is essentially a quadratic equation. Now I'll solve it like any other quadratic equation. I'll take my calculator, mode 5 3 2 1. You can also do it manually if you want, but I won't do it in the examination because, I mean, why do you want to waste time? And y is equal to 0.5. Now we know from the question that sine square theta is y, so therefore this will be sine square theta is equal to 1 by 2. Therefore theta is gonna be equal to sine inverse 1 by 2, root of 1 by 2. Sine square theta is equal to 0.5. Sorry, this is minus 1 over here, my bad. It's equal to minus 1, which is equal to root of minus 1. Now root of minus 1, there is no such thing, and root of minus 1 is going to give you a math error. So therefore we can cancel this entire thing off. We can say this entire thing is not valid. So let's just work with what we have over here. So if I use my calculator and find the value for sine inverse of root, so if I do that, I should get sine inverse of root 1 by 2 radians degrees. I should get the answer to be 45 degrees. Now this is the value. We need to find the value of theta between 0 and 360, and because it's a sine function, we will subtract it by 180. So the other angle would be 180 minus 45, which will be 135. So you have your two angles, and you have answered the question successfully. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question number 6. The variable x, y, and z can take any positive values and are such that okie dokie. Show that z is equal to 3x. Okie dokie. So you have two equations. You have z is equal to 3x plus 2y, and the other equation is xy is equal to 600. And they want us to convert into z is equal to that equals to 3x plus 1200 by x. So we have a sampleless equation situation where we have to make it only into we have to make z the subject. In the first equation, z is already the subject, so there's nothing that we can do over there. In the second equation, we have x and y. The equation that we want to have, we don't have y, so we can make y the subject over here. 600 divided by x, and if I substitute into my first equation z is equal to 3x plus 2. Instead of y, if I substitute my other equation, this equation in, it would be 600 by x. If I simplify that, I'll have 3x plus 1200 by x, exactly what we want in the question. All I am doing, I'm looking at the question, I'm asking myself the equation that we want, which is z is equal to 3x plus 1200 by x, do we have y in it? we don't have y in it, so we have to somehow remove y. We can do that by making y the subject in the second equation, substituting it into my first equation and simplifying it, and that's your answer right there. Moving on to next, we find the stationary values of z and determine its nature. So you have to find the stationary values of z. First thing, to find the stationary value, you have to take the derivative of z. In this case, it would be derivative of dz by dx is gonna be the equation. Rewrite the equation over here: 3x plus 1200 by x. By the way, 3x plus 1200 by x, I can rewrite it as 3x plus 1200 x power minus 1. I'm doing this by using laws of indices, so make sure you are well versed with your laws of indices. So if I take the derivative of 3x, it will be simply be 3, and if I take the derivative of 1200 x minus 1, x will go down, it will be multiplied, so multiply plus minus 1 multiplied by 1200, and the power will be added by 1. Sorry, power is subtracted by 1, so it will be minus 2. If I simplify that, that is 3 minus 1200, sorry, x minus 2, and that's your derivative right there. To find a stationary value, we need to equate the derivative to 0. So 0 is equal to 3 minus 1200 x squared. Again, I'm using the laws of indices to convert my x into the denominator. So I hope you guys are aware of laws of indices. And if I simplify this, I should get the value to be 3 minus 3 plus 1200. If I were to solve this question, okie dokie, let's do that. So minus 3 x squared is equal to minus 1200. Multiplying both sides by minus 1 removes our negative. X is equal to 1200 divided by 3 root of that. So therefore x is equal to, what is x equal to? X is equal to, we'll get our value for, I can put the calculator in, 1200 by 3, right? X is equal to 20, and that's a stationary value of x. What is the nature of x? All you have to do is take our second derivative. If I take my second derivative, my second d square z by dx square, is my second derivative will simply be plus 2400 x raised to minus 3. Is it correct? That should go away, should multiply. Yep, that is correct. All I'll do is I'll plug in my value of x into our equation, and if I d square z, again I'm overlooking a lot of steps over here with the assumptions that you guys know your basic algebra, and if I just give you the method, you guys can figure that out. In this case, our second derivative will be is equal to 0.3. Now you have to ask yourself, is 0.3 greater than 0 or less than 0? Any second derivative which is greater than 0 is always a minimum point. Any second derivative which is less than 0 is always a maximum point. In this case, it is greater than 0. Therefore, our value for x is 20, and that is also our minimum point, and that's your answer right there. Moving on to the next question. Question number 7. A curve is such that dy by dx is okay, and point okay, and find the curve. So we have the derivative given, and we need to find the equation of the curve. If I rearrange my derivative, it should be 3x power 2. Again, I'm rearranging by using laws of indices, so I hope you guys can you guys know laws of indices. So if I integrate, so whenever you integrate a derivative, you get the equation of the curve, and over here we don't have limits, so this is going to be indefinite integration. So if I integrate our equation, I should be able to get, if I do my algebra properly, I should be able to get minus 3 by 2, 1 plus 2, 1 plus 22, 1 plus 2x, sorry, my bad, 1 plus 2x minus 1 plus c. Is that correct? Let's try to figure that out. Is our algebra correct? So integration, right? So chain integration over here. So integration of the outside divided by the derivative of the inside. Integration of the outside is gonna be plus 1, is gonna be 3 divided by minus 1 plus 2x plus 1 minus 2 plus 1 divided by the derivative of the inside. Derivative of the inside is gonna be 2. So that should give us exactly this if we simplify. Yes, so my algebra was correct. Okay, so that's our derivative right then. We know that, so therefore the equation is gonna be y is equal to minus 3 by 2, 1 plus 2x minus 1 plus c. Luckily we have two coordinates given in the question to be 1 and 1 by 2. So if I plug that in, and we can then find the value for c. Y is 1 by 2 and x is 1 plus c, and if I do simple algebra I should get the value for c to be 1. Therefore our equation is y is equal to minus 3 by 2, 1 plus 2x minus 1 plus 1. Now I can simplify this equation even further and remove my fractions and convert my power into denominator, but you don't really have to do that. I mean, why do you want to overcomplicate situation? In your mark scheme you have a much more simplified answer. You can do that if you want, but I personally think it's something that is not required really in the question. Part 2, find the set values for x for which the gradient of the curve is less than 1 by 3. So we have to find the values of x for which gradient is less than 1 by 3. So we have the derivative given in the question, so all we have to do is equate it to 1 by 3 and find the other values of x. So therefore 1 by 3 is less than 3, 1 plus 2x by x square given in the question itself. All I will do from this point in is solve this inequality to find the values of x. So it will be x square is less than 3, 1 by 3 x square is less than 3 plus 6x. We have a quadratic equation situation over here. Minus 6x minus 3 is less than 0, and if we were to solve this equation you should be able to get the answers. Am I doing my algebra properly? Ting 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 ting. Let me double check. It's less than 0. Yep, you have a quadratic equation situation over here, and you will simply solve for the value, and if you do that you will get the values of x to be x is greater than 1 and x is less than minus 2. Again, I could go through the entire algebra, but I hope you guys can do that yourself. All I'm doing is I have a quadratic equation situation over here. I'll just plug the values into my quadratic equation and get my answers, and that's pretty much it really. There's nothing else to do. Okay, I'm just confused whether my algebra is correct. I hope it is. It looks so. Yeah, I hope it is. Yeah. By the way, I solve these questions in real time, so sometimes I do make silly mistakes, and I'm not sure what the answer is in the mark scheme, by the way. I think it's the same thing. Okay. Find the equation. Okay, question number 8. Okay, this television. Ting 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 ting. Okie dokie. So in question number 8 you have two models. Model number 1 is your arithmetic sequence. Your model number 2 is your geometric sequence. The question is which one will be more charitable, which one have more amount after 40 days. All you have to do for part 1 is write down your sequence, create a sequence yourself. We know that in each day we are increasing by 1000, so our term will be 1000, 2000, blah blah blah, and things like that. Therefore our value for A will be 1000, our first term. Our value for D is gonna be also 1000 because that's the difference between each term. All you will do is you'll plug it into your summation equation of your arithmetic sequence. So S of 40 is gonna be equal to 40 divided by 2 multiplied by A in this case is 1000, plus N in this case is 40, N minus 1 multiplied by difference, which is also 1000. And if you simplify this entire equation, you should get the answer to be not simplify, just put it in your calculator really. You should get the answer to be $820,000, right? That's your answer right there. 5% is given into charity, so 5% of that is gonna be 41000. Part 2 asks you to do the exact same thing, but they want you to do it in your geometric sequence. If you were to create a sequence, it's gonna be 1000, 1100, 1210, and so on and so forth. What am I doing over here? All I'm doing is I'm simply increasing 5% in each term. This is our first term. Our second term is going to be 5% more than the first term. The third term is going to be 5% more than the first term. Sorry, is it 5% or is it 10%? Sorry, it's 10%. 10% more than the previous term. Therefore, our value for R is going to be 1.1. Why? Because it's 10%. 10% in the sense that if I look at my first term, my second term is gonna be 110% of that. 10% of the previous term. Thus the third term is gonna be 110% more than the second term. The third term is gonna be 110% more than the second term. So I have 110 percentage. If I convert this 110 percentage, it would be 1 by 1 in ratios, which is exactly our value for R. So our value for R is 1.1. Our value for A is 1000. So we'll put a summation equation for geometric sequence 1000. I hope you guys are aware of your summation equation of geometric sequence. You can just Google it really. And this should give us our answer to be 22100, and that's our final answer. Why aren't we multiplying by percentage by 5% as we did in part 1? Is because we already have the answer in percentages. We have already included that in the equation itself, so we don't really have to do anything more, if I am correct. So with that, I guess we have solved our question number 8. So let's go for question number 9. Question number 9, okay, we have I hate questions when you have lots of things to read. Long story short, all they want us to do in part 1 is to find the total area of the shaded region. This is this part over here. Okay, this part over here in terms of R and theta. So we'll basically simplify in terms of R and theta. How can we do that? Okay. So first we need to find the area, we need to basically subtract our area for the triangle OAB subtracted by the sector of the circle, which is 0, T, and P. If we do that, we can find the shaded area. So the expression for the area of the triangle is gonna be 1 by 2 R by cos theta. Why am I getting that? I'll explain in 1 second. R by cos theta multiplied by sine 2 theta. What is this over here? We know that from the question itself that the radius is R, and we know that this is R, and we know that this is theta because it's divided into half. So we can use our trigonometry to find the length of A to O, which is gonna be A to O is gonna be our hypotenuse. If you use our cosine trigonometric rule, cosine is a trig, it should basically be R by cos theta. Again, I'm just using trigonometry to find the length of OA. I have the theta given, I have the radius given, I have the opposite side to be given, and I'm then using the formula 1 by 2 AB sine C to find the area of the triangle. Our A is OA, our B is OB, which is exactly the same as OA, and our C sine C is gonna be 2 theta, and which is written exactly over here. And that's our area of the triangle subtracted by the area of the sector. Area of the sector is pretty straightforward, 1 by 2 r square theta. R square theta, and that's basic. You just need to know one simple formula and simplify that formula, you will get the answer. If I were to simplify this entire thing over here, I should get my answer to be 1 by 2 r square cos square theta by sine 2 theta minus 1 by 2 r square theta, right? So if I were to do a little algebra, what should that give me? That should give me r square by cos. Do I have to do that? By the way, 1 second. It's gonna be theta is gonna be 2 theta, right? I'm using the formula for area of sector. Area of sector is 1 by 2 r square theta. So 1 by 2 r square theta is 2. So 1 by square r square 2 theta, right? So if I were to simplify this, I would have 1 by 2 cos square theta multiplied by sine 2 theta minus 1 by 2 r square theta, and that's your answer right there. Now technically speaking, you can simplify this further if you want, but I think this is enough for your examination. You don't really need to do anything more than this. Okay, so the next part, okay, so we have to find the perimeter, right? Let me erase this quickly. Okay, part number 2, second part of question number 9. In case where theta is equal to 1 by 3 pi, if I'm reading it correct, and r is equal to 6. Find the perimeter of the shaded region. Shaded region means a to b plus a to b plus b to s multiplied by 2, because both sides have exactly the same area. We know that a to s, can we find a to s? We can find a to s by using our trigonometric rules. We have our if we use tan, which one can we use? We have s and o, which is r. We have the hypotenuse, which is r by cos theta, right? So you have to find the opposite side. So tan is equal to sine. So you can use sine. We can use sine. So sine theta is equal to opposite, which is as, divided by your hypotenuse, which is r by cos theta. So as is gonna be r by cos theta multiplied by sine, which is simply as sine theta r by cos, and that's your as. As is equal to sr, so you just multiply that by 2. So this, to make things simple, our a to s, our a to r, is it r, is it s? I'm not sure. Is it? It is, 1 second. Do I still have the triangle? I don't have the triangle. My bad. I think it's r. This point over here. This point over here. I think that's r. So our a to r is basically 2 into sine theta multiplied by r by cos theta. All I am doing is I'm using my trigonometric rule to find the length of AS. If I can find the length of AS, I know that AS and SR are the same. I'm just multiplying the entire thing by 2. So that's our length for AS. What about the length of AT and RT? AT and RT we have figured out in the previous question itself, so we'll just add them. R by cos theta plus, sorry, minus. Our hypotenuse is a to o, so a to o is r by cos theta, which we figured out in the previous question, subtracted by the radius, which is r minus r, and I'm again gonna multiply this entire thing by 2, because a to t, a to p, and t to r is the same. Again, I know it's getting a little bit complicated, but I hope you guys can really pause and look at what I'm trying to do. The only part which is remaining right now is the arc P, S, and T, and we know to find the perimeter of an arc is basically theta into r, which is r2 theta r. All I will do from this point is plug in my values of r to be 6 and theta to be 1 by 3. Is it 1 by 3? Yep, it's 1 by 3 pi. All I'll do is plug in my value and get my answer in the calculator, put that value in the calculator and get my answer. Again, all I'm doing is I'm simply finding the length of different sides. This over here is your A to R. This over here is your AP plus your RT. And this one over here is basically your arc, your length of your arc. And length of the arc we know is basically your theta into your degrees into your r. And I'm just plugging my value in together with my values given in the question and getting my answer. And if you do all of that, you should ultimately, if I use my calculator, let me just pause and do that for a second. This entire thing is gonna give me 12 plus 12 theta plus 4 pi, which is the same. Yeah, that's it. That's your answer right there. You don't need to simplify further. Now, this another way you can do this question is by using Pythagoras theorem, in the sense that we know the value for OS, the length of OS. So, and we also know the value of O to A. So you can use Pythagoras theorem to find AS and then do the entire same process. But roughly speaking, I mean, plus minus, you'd get the exact same answer. My method is slightly lengthier. I'm trying to realize I shouldn't have gone for this method, but you can use another method too. It's still fine. You get the same answer. So with that, let's move on to question number 10. Let me erase this quickly. Okay, question number 10 expressed in the form. So we have the equations in the part 1. Express. Okay, so our equation is 2x square minus 4x plus 1. We need to convert this into a completing square format. Completing square format, our value, the coefficient of x must be 1. So if we factor 2 out, it's gonna be x square minus 4, so minus 2x, because you're factoring 2 out, plus 1. From this point, all you have to do is x square minus 2x, divide your 2ab, this part is 2ab, divide it by 2 and then square it. Minus 2 divided by 2 is minus 1, so it will be basically be minus 1 square plus 1. Now we have to keep in mind, whenever we add something to our equation or our expression, we must also subtract it so that our sides cancel out, so that everything is even out. So if we are adding 1 square over here, we'll be subtracting 1 square multiplied by 2, because if you open the bracket, will be 1 square multiplied by 2 minus 1 square multiplied by 2. That should give us our answer to be 2x minus 1 whole square in completing square format minus 1, and that's your answer right there. I'm just using completing square method. There's another method of completing square. If you do that, you'll get the same answer. So if you want, you can try that out too. Part 2, the line x minus OK and the curve intersect point P and Q. It's given that the coordinates OK. Find the coordinates of Q. Now this question is going to require a lot of algebra. It's going to be super lengthy. So let's just try to. Let me just write that over here. 2x minus 1 whole square minus 1. Okay. The question part 1 is to find the coordinates of A. We know that when you have an equation in completing square format, your outer value represents your y, and if we solve the inner part, that should give us your x value, and x minus 1 is equal to 0. So therefore x is going to be 0 plus 1, x is going to be 1. So this is our coordinates for A. Moving on to part 2. In part 2, you have two equations, x minus y plus 4 is equal to 0, and y is equal to 2x square minus 4x plus 1. Right, so we need to find the coordinates of P and Q first, and so that we can then solve for the line P and Q. The coordinates of P is already given, so we have to find the coordinates of Q. You have two equations, you have two variables, you have a simultaneous equation situation, which I hope you guys know how to solve by now. So if I do the entire algebra, I should get the value of Q to be minus 1 by 2 and 9 by 2. I have done the algebra separately on a different paper, just so that I don't waste time doing algebra over here. I hope you guys know how to solve simultaneous equation situation by now. You have two equations, you have two variables, so it should be able to be solved. So this is our value for x, this is our value for y, right? What do you have to do next? Let intersect. It's given that P is okay. Find the coordinates of Q, which we did. Part number 3. Find the equation of the line joining Q and midpoint. Okie dokie. So you have to find the line joining P and Q. We know that lines are always in the format y is equal to mx plus c, where m is your gradient and c is your y-intercept. We can find the gradient by using the equation y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1, and once we do that, we can plug in our coordinates of Q or the coordinates of P to find the value of C. And if you do that entire algebra, you should get the answer to be y is equal to minus 1 by 2x plus 117 by 5. Again, lots of algebra which you guys will have to do it yourself, simply because it's going to take a lot of time if I have to do it over here. I have done it separately. If you guys still don't understand the algebra and are having serious issues with it, make sure to comment below. Okie dokie. So that's our answer for question number 10. Question number 11. The functions that find and simplify. TK. So we need to simplify f of g and g of f of x. F of g of x means our function of g is inside our function of f. Our f of x is 2x plus 1. Our g of x is x square minus 2. So f of g of x is gonna be the function of g inside f. 2, instead of writing x, I will write the function of g minus 2 plus 1, and all I'll do from this point is simplify it and get the answer. And if I do the simplification, I should get 2x square minus 3. The second function is g of f of x. That means g must be in f must be inside g. If I do that, my equation is gonna be 2x plus 1 whole square plus minus 2. And if I were to simplify this entire thing, I should get the answer to be 4x square plus 4x minus 1, and that's the answer for the first part. Second part has find the value of f of g of a is equal to f of g of. Okay, so they are saying if I substitute my value of x to be a and equate my f of g of x and g of f of x together, what should I get? So f of g of a is equal to g of f of a, which is basically 2a square minus 3, which is equal to 4 a square plus 4a minus 1. If I were to simplify this, I should get 4a square minus 2a square plus 4a minus 1 plus 3. 0 is equal to 2a. Sorry, let me drag it down over here. 0 is equal to 2a square minus 2a square plus 4a minus 2. We have a quadratic equation situation over here, and if you were to use the formula, you will find the value of a to be a is equal to minus 1, and that's your answer right there. Okay, that's the answer for part 3. Part number 4, find and simplify the expression for f of inverse of g, f inverse g of x. These terms can get pretty confusing. Okie dokie. So first we have to find the f inverse. To find the f inverse, all we do is make our f of x into x and make our x into y, and then make our y the subject. In this case, it will be minus 1 divided by 2 is equal to y. Therefore, f inverse of x is gonna be x minus 1 divided by 2. The question says f inverse of g of x. So that means g of x must be inside the inverse of f of x. Let me erase this super quickly. Okay. So therefore, f inverse g of x is gonna be, instead of writing x, I will write the term for x, sum for g, x square minus 2 minus 1, minus 1 divided by 2. And that's it, that's the answer right there. Now you can simplify this further if you want, but I would leave it as it is. I mean, why do you want to simplify that? But the question over here specifically asks you to simplify, so unfortunately you will have to simplify. So if I do that, so it's gonna be x square minus 2 minus 1 by 2. X square minus 2 is minus 2 minus 1, x square minus 3 by 2, which is gonna be 1 by 2 x square minus 3 by 2, and that's your simplified answer right there. So that's your answer right there. Function of h is given by find the inverse of g. So straightforward question. H of x is equal to x square minus 2. H of inverse, again we'll make our h of x into x, and you'll make our x into y, and we'll make our y the subject. X plus 2, the root of that is gonna give me y. Therefore, h inverse of x is gonna be root of x plus 2. And that's it. Those are all your answers right there. If you feel that I went too quickly over a question, or you didn't understand properly, make sure to comment in the section below, and make sure to subscribe and like, because to be fair, educational videos don't really get that many views.